By their votes, you shall know them. Heatmaps on how individual councillors vote and group cohesion. By Chris Chan. When trolls defend dysfunction, the wisest man that ever lived said, "By their fruits you shall know them." And that is particularly relevant today, because in a world of noise, with trolls shouting online, political insiders spinning their narratives, and councillors pointing fingers in every direction, a reasonable person might ask, to whom should I listen? Whom can I trust? This is where facts and discernment become vital. And it's why at Monaro Zone we don't deal in vibes or hearsay. We deal in hard facts, real votes, and public records, so you can judge for yourself. Today's story, it's one the trolls inadvertently inspired. A small but vocal group of online commentators, many with close ties to the Hannah Gang councillors, have recently taken to social media to cry foul over the volume of motions brought forward by independents. Their complaints can be summed up by the following. Too many motions. Nothing's getting done. They're just baiting the minister. Let's be blunt. This kind of commentary either reflects deliberate misdirection or genuine ignorance. There's a kind of shallow smugness in pretending that the issue with council is motion quantity, rather than the complete breakdown of transparency and trust that led to those motions being brought forward in the first place. And let's not forget, motions requesting transparency, audits, or public consultation are routinely blocked by the Hannah Gang councillors voting in a block. One commenter scoffed at the idea of 27 motions in one meeting, revealing just how low the bar has been set, where attempts to fix systemic failure are met not with support, but suspicion. The answer is simple, because the residents that voted for them asked them to, because they're addressing years of dysfunction, because someone has to clean up the mess. The council's own survey from 2021-2024 says the public is over it. In council's own community satisfaction survey from 2021-2024, the trend is damning. 1. Over 50% of residents are dissatisfied with council's performance, 2022-2024. 2. Only 2 to 3% are very satisfied. 3. Neutral responses dropped, meaning more residents are taking a side. 4. Snowy Monaro ranks well below the NSW Regional Council average and almost half the score of the best-performing councils. And here's the kicker. This decline began years before the current independents were elected. So when trolls try to blame the dysfunction on the independents, particularly Rose, Thaler, or Williamson, they're not just intellectually dishonest, they're wrong, and they're ignoring the historical record. This crisis in confidence was not created by the new councillors. They were elected in response to it. Chart 1. Voting patterns, individual courage or collective cowardice. This first chart in our investigation tracks how each councillor voted on 27 motions from January to April 2025. These weren't symbolic gestures, they were serious proposals. Green equals vote for the motion, red equals vote against the motion. Motions to investigate the Kuma water tank collapse, requests to audit leadership payments, calls for fluoride community surveys, pushes for greater access to briefing materials. The results? Councillor Ruben Rose supported every motion related to transparency and governance. Councillor Andrew Thaler never voted against a single motion seeking accountability. Councillor Hopkins broke ranks on the full and accurate minutes motion. Mayor Hannah voted against every single motion tied to the Kuma water tank investigation. The takeaway is clear. Some councillors are acting on conscience, others are closing ranks to protect a system that has long failed the people. How to read the individual voting chart. This chart shows how each councillor voted on 27 key motions presented to the Snowy Monaro Regional Council between January and April 2025. It's designed to provide transparency, not about who moved a motion, but about how councillors responded to it. What the chart shows. Each row represents a motion. Each column represents a councillor. Each cell shows how that councillor voted on that motion. Green is a vote for a motion. This councillor supported the motion, whether it was about transparency, community consultation, financial review, or governance reform. Red is a vote against a motion. This councillor opposed the motion, regardless of whether the motion promoted accountability or called for investigation. White represents absent or abstained. This councillor did not cast a vote on this motion, whether due to absence or declared conflict. What this chart doesn't show, and why that matters. The chart does not identify who moved the motion. That's intentional. Because good governance should not depend on who brings an idea forward, but on the merits of the idea itself. A principled councillor should be willing to vote for a good motion, no matter where it comes from, and vote against a bad one, no matter who proposes it. What this means for you. This chart allows you, the ratepayer, the resident, the voter, to see whether your councillor is voting in a way that aligns with your values and expectations. Are they voting for transparency? Are they willing to support truth over politics? Or are they consistently blocking efforts to shine the light on past failures that would open the way for resolution of outstanding issues and provide the opportunity for continuous improvement through lessons learned? These are not abstract votes. They reflect real decisions with real consequences for your community. The data is here. The record is clear. Now it's up to you to decide. Is your councillor representing you or protecting something else? Chart 2. Cohesion exposes the block. Note, the cohesion chart above does not show how the gang or independents voted, but whether or not each grouping, gang or independents, voted as a block on a motion. Green means they voted as a block, and red means they didn't vote as a block. This second chart shows something still more telling. It reveals how often a particular group of councillors, known in the region as the gang, voted the same way. Now, there are those who bristle at this term, and I understand that. Gang sounds conspiratorial, perhaps even childish, but we must call things what they are. And when 6 individuals vote together 89% of the time across a broad range of issues, it is no longer mere alignment. It is pattern, it is practice, it is deliberate coordination. They are Hannah, Hopkins, Summers, Higgins, Davis, and Rooney. And this pattern of voting has not been used to build, clarify, or bring transparency, but most often to suppress. Motions calling for openness have been blocked. Motions inviting community voices have been defeated. Motions seeking accountability for past failures have been silenced. It is not that they necessarily disagree with the motions on their merits. Rather, it appears they disagree with the implications, that is, where truth might lead. By contrast, the 5 independent councillors voted together less frequently, around 68% of the time. This is important, for it suggests they are not whipped, not rehearsed, not constrained by allegiance, but weighing each matter independently, as they ought. How to read the cohesion chart. The cohesion chart is not concerned with whether a motion passed or failed. It doesn't judge the motion itself or who proposed it or how the councillors voted on it. Instead, it simply asks how many councillors within each group voted the same way. The rules. If 5 or more of the 6 gang councillors, Hannah, Hopkins, Summers, Higgins, Davis, Rooney, vote the same way, that motion is marked as gang cohesion. If 4 or more of the 5 independent councillors, Stewart, Elliott, Rose, Williamson, Thaler, vote the same way, that motion is marked as independent cohesion. It doesn't matter what they voted, for or against, only that they voted together. This method allows us to visually detect voting blocks not based on titles or party affiliation, but based on actual behavior. Green squares means cohesion. A green square on the chart means that the required number of councillors within the group voted the same way, either all for or all against. If both the gang and the independents voted together, i.e. there's green on both sides, that means both blocks showed internal agreement, even if they disagreed with each other. Why this matters. This approach highlights when decision-making is driven by group alignment rather than individual reasoning. If the gang votes together nearly every time, as they did in 89% of motions, it raises questions of political orchestration, not independence. Rubber stamp anyone? If the independents vary more often, it suggests a motion-by-motion assessment, which is exactly how public representatives should behave. So when you see a long column of green on the gang side and scattered patterns on the independent side, you're not just seeing votes. You're seeing how power is exercised. You're seeing who is thinking and who is following. So what's the real agenda? Some have accused the independents of having an agenda. They do. It's called truth and transparency. It's called accountability. It's called making the chamber work for the people again. Meanwhile, the gang's agenda evidently seems to involve protecting failed executive decisions, avoiding public scrutiny, voting down any motion that might expose council failures and unresolved issues. Final thoughts: a question of memory and morality. This is not a matter of political style, it is a matter of ethical substance. And if the last 4 years of satisfaction data, voting records, and performance reports are not enough to convince you, then ask yourself this: who benefits from a council that doesn't investigate itself? Who gains when public briefings are hidden? Who is threatened by genuine comprehensive community consultation? The people of this region are not fools. They know the difference between noise and principle. And the trolls, for all their bluster, are just narrating the slow collapse of a system that can no longer defend itself. Remember this. A lying tongue hates its victims, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Those who lie about the motives of the independents, who twist the narrative to defend dysfunction, they are not just playing politics, they are harming their own community. But there is hope. There are councillors willing to speak, to act, and to vote in your interest, even when it costs them. Let the truth be your guide. Let discernment be your tool. And when the time comes to vote again, remember how they voted. Want to help? Share this article, subscribe, watch the council meetings, support the councillors who work for you, stand up for the truth and the community, resist the trolls, and keep sharing the facts.